Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Well, welcome, everybody. You guys have been keeping me busy, man. Wow. In a good way. In a very good way. I don't think we've ever. I mean, obviously, we continue to add new stations on a regular basis. And again, we've been doing this over for 20 years, but so many great phone calls and emails and inquiries. And we've been helping out investors all around the country, basically getting their portfolios right. Basically, yeah, you to get your mind right. Yeah, I guess getting their mind right in regards to financial preparation and what to do. People are waking up. They're starting to understand. Maybe, the proverbial forest for the trees metaphor there. Yeah, well, yeah. I think people are starting to see it to some degree, and I'm happy about that. I mean, you take a look now that the number one concern in the country is inflation. It's not COVID. Inflation is the number one concern. A topic that is near and dear to our hearts at Markowski Investments and the Watchdog on Wall Street radio show, because we've been talking about it now for 2 decades and then some. Conventional wisdom, which we describe here on the program as poison. Conventional wisdom over the past couple of decades is that there's no inflation. No inflation to speak of out there. And again, anybody who actually takes a look at their bills and sees what they're paying. And again, I do this. I keep pretty meticulous records. I can go back and see what I was paying for my groceries 20 years ago. I can go back and I can take a look and see what I was paying for my health insurance 20-something years ago. You go right on down the list. Inflation has been there. You know what hasn't been there for us? A reasonable rate of return on risk-free assets. Back when Alan Greenspan, as I'm dating myself now, I was complaining about Alan Greenspan and him coming into my garage, my financial planning garage, and stealing tools out of my bloody toolbox and not returning them. Now, again, everybody sees it now. Without a doubt, it has gone parabolic. It's gone parabolic. It's all over the news now. I got a million phone calls. Come on this program. Come on that program. I telling no to so many people. I couldn't do it. Getting double booked, triple booked, going on programs to talk about inflation at 7%. 7% year over year. Okay. It's not 7%. It's higher than that. It is much, much higher than that. Again, if you'd like to go see for yourself, go and take a look and see how they put together the CPI, how it's done. If you take a look at the items in the CPI, the things that you need to live on, the things that you need to survive on, food, gas, energy, they've gone through the roof. You see, you can put off buying certain items. Let's say you can put off buying, your stove. You want a new stove, you need a new refrigerator, whatever it may be, but they work, and you can put off buying them because the prices have gone up. But you still got to eat every single day, and you still got to put gas in a car, and you still have to pay the electric bill or the oil bill or the gas bill. You can't avoid that. And that's hitting people. You take a look at wages are up. That was one of the things that the current administration was talking about, all these wage gains. No wage gains. How are there wage gains when the cost of living here in the United States has gone through the roof? We're going to, a little bit later on in the program, I'm going to talk about, we'll get into the more of the minutiae, the politics of inflation and the blame game that's taken place out there and what inflation is and how we've managed to do this to ourselves and how there is no quick fix. There isn't. We've been dealing with inflation. We've been helping our clients deal with inflation, our listeners deal with inflation, like I said, for 2 decades now. And we're not going to deviate. We're not going to change from what we're doing because it works. It works. Where risk-free assets, again, you're not getting any sort of return whatsoever. We all know this. The time's changed. The time's changed. You have to deal. It's one of the things I try to get across is I don't like it, but I deal with it. Got to deal with the terrain. 20 some odd plus years ago, you could, if you wanted a risk-free portfolio, you wanted to buy 10-year treasuries, you were getting 7-8%. 7-8% on your money. Okay, so you got $1 million. That's, risk-free, 80 grand a year. Now you're getting less than 20. There's a disconnect. And again, we'll get into why rates are been pushed down to artificial lows. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the program. But what you need to do, you need to understand that, again, compounding is the royal road to riches. You need to understand as well that in an environment, rates are going up. Fed's not going to do what is really necessary and raise them where they need to be. They can't. They can't. It's not possible. It would destroy our budget, our national budget. Like I said, we'll get into that later. You need to own quality. But you should always own quality. You hear that all the time. You see some of the chattering classes and the talking heads on TV. So flight to quality. So flight to quality out there. So massive meltdown in the NASDAQ. 40% of NASDAQ companies are down more than a half from their highs. Yeah. Yeah, tell me something that we didn't tell you was going to happen already. Companies are eventually going to trade for what they're worth. You can pretend, you can convince yourself. Oh, it's new, it's great, it's new technology. Does it make any money? When are they planning on making money? Because that is a consideration. Yeah, we talked about this last weekend on the program. Been there, done that. Been there, the parallels between what has taken place with technology over the past couple of years and comparing it to the 1990s. They say history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Yeah, this most certainly rhymes. Oh, it's a new economy, new paradigm. Earnings don't matter anymore. Poppycock. Eventually, they do matter. And unfortunately, many investors have been, caught. They're the music has stopped. The music has stopped, and they don't have a chair. Yeah, that was a great scene in the movie Margin Call. The CEO of that was a financial crisis, Great Recession movie. Did a really good job with the CEO is basically saying, I don't hear any music playing. At some point in time, you're going to have to come to the realization that, you screwed up. You made mistakes, and you're going to have to move on. You don't want to continue to make the same mistakes because, you're going to be in a worse position. Chasing things is not the way to go. FOMO, fear of missing out, is not an investment strategy. Performance chasing, that's the other one. For years, we talked about this. They love doing this because, again, it's a television show, people. CNBC, the business programs out there, it's a bloody TV show. They're trying to get viewers. They're trying to get viewers, and they've got to come up with compelling content. And you know what's compelling content? Creating characters. I watched this happen, and we told you this was going to happen. We told you exactly what was going to happen. Oh, look at a performance. 2019, 20 into 2020. They created this star. This star, man, wow. She is so smart. Svengali, Kathy Wood, and Ark. And look at how great she's doing. Take a look at the performance that she's had. So what do people do? Oh, my God, I got to have it. She's so smart. She's so great. And they pour into her funds. What are they down? 40% in 2021? Selling high-quality things, all of a sudden trying to chase performance. People, that's never worked. Ever worked. We wrote about this 20 years ago. Man, citing some of the research work done by Terrence Odine from Berkeley. Investors are more apt to sell their winners and go into losers. Again, do you think that all of a sudden somebody's all figured it out and found a way to game the market for you and can show these ridiculous outsized returns? We've had years that have showed outsized returns, plenty of them. But guess what? It's not always going to be the case. We're not going to take flyers with our clients' money and go into these things because, again, everything in life that has meaning, value, and worth involves work, time, and effort. You take a look at the size, what happened, Kathy Wood and her ARK portfolio, many of the hedge funds out there, wizards of smart. They start out small and they're nimble, and then they get massive. And then they're limited in what they can do. They're limited in what they can do simply because you can't sell massive positions. You have to find a buyer for them. And this has been going on forever. I mean, watch this with hedge funds that were touted back in the 1990s into the 2000s. Look at how this smart hedge fund guy, that great hedge fund guy, and they blew up. They blew up. Why? Got too big for their britches, for crying out loud. They weren't nimble. Everybody's situation, every client is unique and different and needs to have a portfolio that's built around them. Again, this confuses people sometimes. I know I've talked about this before. We will take XYZ company, high-quality company paying dividends, and it's done very, very well with the client that we've had for 10 years, and it continues to do well. Guess what we do? We sell portions of that position, rotate those assets into underperforming classes, stuff that's maybe out of favor at that point in time, but still fundamentally sound, high quality. On the same day, we're purchasing that stock, somebody new that's coming in here, because we're putting together a balanced portfolio. It's not an all or nothing proposition. It's balance. Cut here, snip there. This is how you're going to be successful. And I'm telling you, I get it, okay? I don't make for a sexy guest on CNBC. I don't go on. They won't have me on certain programs because I won't tell them what I'm buying and what I'm selling. Why? Because it's irresponsible. A buy for you may not be a buy for your neighbor. That's not what we do. We help people prepare for life. That's our job. Anyway, got to take a quick break. Again, I want to remind all of our new listeners out there, take advantage of all the great stuff we have at our website. First and foremost, our personal CFO program. You have full access to everybody here at Markowski Investments, our lawyers, our accountants, us. That's what we do. It's basically a home office for everyone. No, you don't need $10 million to work with the Markowskis. We help everyone. Get to our website, watchdogonwallstreet.com. That's watchdogonwallstreet.com, or give us a call, 800-471-5984. We'll be back.
They failed as they were thrown to the
The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to The Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
It's an obscure 1980s stick song. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Welcome back. One of the things that, we do as helping people out with our financial planners, and what you can expect is you can expect honesty. You can expect the truth. Let me put it to you this way. I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. Okay? I just don't do that. Yeah, I say, I'm not Mary Poppins. There's no spoonful of sugar to make the medicine go down. We're adamant about that. We're here to help you and advise you. The easiest thing in the entire world for us to give a sycophant type of advice, tell people what they want to hear. No. Don't. You know how many conversations I have to have with parents, some of our newer clients out there, and their kids have gotten into certain schools, and they're at a certain position in life, and they can't afford it, and they get the financial aid package, and they're distraught, and they want to go out and take all these ridiculous student loans out, and I've got to tell them that they're making a big mistake. They're making a big mistake. I know little Johnny or Sally want to go to that school, and I want to put the sticker on the back of my car. I get that. I understand the egos that are involved. The last thing in the world you want to do is to put your kid into tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt for an undergraduate degree. Plain and simple. Saw a story this past week. Again, didn't go mainstream, that's for sure. Didn't. You had a bunch of elite universities around the country. Yale, Georgetown, Harvard, Northwestern, Vanderbilt, Cornell. I go right on down the list. All the Ivies out there working together, colluding to limit students' financial aid. Yeah. They filed a lawsuit. So these various different schools can get on the same page. They're obviously competing over the same kids. They say, hey, you know what? Let's communicate on this stuff, and we'll keep aid packages the same. For years. What do we call colleges and universities? And I'm all for higher education. I think it should be a lifelong thing. We need less man caves in this country and more studies, quite frankly. But there's a price that's involved. These colleges and universities are hedge funds with nonprofit status. And that's how they operate. Don't do it to your kids. Okay? Don't let them do it. Could you imagine, again, I take a couple steps back. Could you imagine being 21 years old, trying to start your life and being $100,000 in debt just to start off? Could you imagine? So many kids have that problem. And then we've already talked about graduate degrees with unlimited amounts of borrowing. And we've gone over this, the various different degrees that are being offered and how it's not worth it, okay? People, you need to understand that higher education is a tool, and you have to do a cost-benefit analysis on that tool. Why are you going to school? What are you doing? What are you going to use that degree for? How much do you think that you're going to make? Again, we have to get away. Again, breaking away from I have to go here, I have to go there. Every single bit of information points out it's not what school you go to, unless, of course, you want to go work in government. It's what your major is. It's what you're studying. Have to take a break. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. Again, it's part of our financial planning process. We help people with their college. We help people with all sorts of stuff, real estate, you name it. Again, become a part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family, the Markowski Investments family. Sign up. Real simple. Personal CFO program, account repair kits, college planning kits, all there at our website, watchdogonwallstreet.com, or give us a call, 800-471-5984.
Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street. You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Yeah, I mentioned musical chairs. We talk about it in terms of being greater fool out there. And I saw the story this past week. The Securities and Exchange Commission. Securities and Exchange Commission, which is, again, it oversees my business. They're again looking to bite off more than they can chew. They're now asking, they like to have greater transparency from private companies. These big companies out there that remain private for years. They want information. They want to get information out for investors. I look at this and I say that's what we need is more rules and regulations, because the ones you've been writing have been working out so well. You know, we can go back to after the .com collapse. Of course, I got to do something. Got to do something. And Bush administration and Congress, they put together, it was just Sarbanes-Oxley. Sarbanes-Oxley. It was all sorts of regulations there. And Elliot Spitzer talking about we're going to have regulations, and the Chinese wall is going to be stronger between investment banking and the sales department. What a load of bunk. It was nothing. It was absolutely nothing. And the bad guys walk. And those regulations, okay, basically pushed IPOs away. Banks said, hey, look at this. We can package mortgage securities. Look at the money we're going to make here. Ooh, guess what? We deregulated. Okay, we made the New York Stock Exchange. We made the New York Stock Exchange a now for-profit entity. S&P and Moody's are now for-profit entities. And we can pay them to slap AAA credit ratings on garbage securities. Which they did. Oh, that blows up. And we got Dodd-Frank. Listen, people. I've talked about how, venture capital, investment banking, how it's changed since when I started in the business, and how companies are laddered up over periods of time. And I get it. And we've told you here on the program, more often than not, when companies finally go public, the sole reason for them going public is to get the earlier investors out. Musical chairs. We got to get the early investors out. Average investor nowadays, you can't get in at the bottom floor. You can't get in when something first comes out. You can't get into something, as it's starting to get better. It's not possible. You're not allowed. That's for venture capital. That's for private firms. And they ladder these companies up 5, 8, 10, 12 years. Then all of a sudden they go public. Meanwhile, they've not made a dime over all these years, but it doesn't matter. The object is not to make a dime. The object is to find people to buy the stock when it goes public to get all the early people out. That's how these things operate. You know, they talk about this stuff. Investors, greater fools, all this. Nobody's holding a gun to your head and forcing you to buy into this stuff. You take a look at the performance of IPOs in 2021 and how poorly they did, and we told you this was going to happen. Now, kind of funny. IPOs, opening day, usually they do pretty well. We used to be able to, get IPOs. We used to. But they won't allow us anymore because, they lost our phone number, that's for sure, because we'd sell. Just trying to explain to you how this works here. We'd get the IPO at a certain price. The stock would go up. Let's say if it went from $20 to $30 a share. That's a 50% return in a day. Sell. Okay? That's exactly what we're doing. We'd sell. And we'd get the nasty phone calls from the firm saying, well, why'd you sell? We want you to hold on to this thing. Hold on to it. It just made me 50%, my client 50% in a day. The owners of the company were selling it at 20 today. I can sell it for 30 on the same day. I think I'm getting out. So eventually they don't want us to do this because part of the game is to keep the stock up for a certain period of time so all of the insiders can get out. Do you understand, people? You need to comprehend valuation and what something is worth. And it's important to understand others' motivation as well. Let's take a quick break. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. If this is, again, complicated, I'm trying to make best sense of this as you possibly can. Feel free. Send me an email, whatever it may be. We're here to help you. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. Become a part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family or give us a call. Our 24-hour day help hotline, 800-471-5984.
Bringing America financial freedom one listener at a time. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
I'm trying to remember a company during the 1990s. I know it's going to come to me. It was touted all over CNBC. The CEO is a Goldman Sachs guy that left. Was this Goldman Sachs guy? They starting this company, and it was in certain urban areas in the country. Basically, what it was kind of like a delivery service. It's before Amazon Prime, and you would have like drop-off boxes at Starbucks. There, you could have movies brought to your house. They deliver Ben and Jerry's ice cream. I mean, the stock went through the roof. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm scratching my head like so many times in so many companies, and I'm like, what? I don't get it. Of course, the thing collapsed, like so many others. Neat is not an investment strategy. It's not. Cool! It is not a way of looking at companies. I mentioned this before on the program. I was just thinking about it. Television show Billions. Several years ago on the program, the lead character in the show, Bobby Axelrod, his wife at the time is trying to start a business here where she wants to go to Wall Street offices, New York offices, and give people IVs if they're hungover. They're hungover to energize them. And, Bobby looks at her and he got her really upset. And he said, what is it that you do that you're the best in the world at? You offer service you didn't invent, a formula you didn't invent, a delivery method you didn't invent. Nothing about what you do is patentable or a unique user experience. You haven't identified an isolated market segment, haven't truly branded your concept. You want me to go on? So I'm going to put money into something like this. I told you, but you weren't ready. Again, some things to think about when you're looking at companies. And I get it. People, you can ride waves for a period of time and things go up, but eventually it all comes down to, Warren Buffett's teacher, Benjamin Graham. Something has an intrinsic value. Eventually it's going to trade for what it's truly worth. Not what it's worth today, what it's truly worth. This is something that you need to pay close attention to. Fundamentals always matter. Earnings always matter. I don't care what the chattering classes are telling you. I don't care what they're saying here. I don't care what this smart guy that you think this smart guy is telling you over there. They matter. We don't speculate. That's not what we do here. It's not what we do. We build wealth. And to be honest with you, I suggest you do the same thing. We get back, I'm going to take a quick break right here. We get back, I got to get into some ripoffs and scams. And yes, I've got one involving Kim Kardashian, Paul Pierce. I couldn't make this stuff up if I wanted to. Watchdog on wallstreet.com. Those places you need to get to. Become a part of our family, our personal CFO program. All sorts of great stuff there at the site. Watchdog on wallstreet.com. We'll be back.
Let me tell you,
Taking Wall Street's liars, crooks, and cheats out behind the woodshed. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Welcome back, everyone. Before we get into the story, I would tease the last segment. I've got to mention this again. Gotten a lot of phone calls, in particular in Texas, over the past several weeks. People tuning into the program, finding out about this show. What do they call it when it's trolls, when somebody is going after you on the internet and saying some things? I'm trying to come up with a different word for people, bad investment advisors using church and prayer groups to prey on investors. Because I can't tell you how many screwed up portfolios that I've taken a look at where, my advisor's that nice young man from church. I'm going to say it again here. I've said it once, I said it 1,000 times. Someone is selling their financial acumen at mass. Run. I'm sorry, not the time nor the place. And I have seen countless people over the years get taken in. It's another form of affinity fraud. Don't be suckered into this stuff. You've heard it here. And if you have any questions, like I said, pick up the phone, send me an email, go to our website. We'll let you know. I'm just my belief system. That's just that you don't do that. There's a time and place. You don't do it there. And the ones that are doing there, something's amiss with you, that you think it's okay to be doing business within a church atmosphere. I'm sorry. Just my belief. Anyway. Kim Kardashian, Floyd Mayweather, Paul Pierce, and other celebrities are being sued. They're being sued for leading investors into a cryptocurrency pump and dump scam. Now, again, I think you're going to find it very, very difficult to actually get anything out of these people. I mean, in essence, it's a cryptocurrency. It's nothing. Okay? It is. Okay? Let's be honest with what crypto. And I know I can get a dissertation from people talking to me about cryptocurrencies and alternatives. Okay? It is a finite supply of zero is what it is. It's not a business, anything else. It's a finite supply of zero. There's something out there, people, that again, like I said, I'm not Mary Poppins, no spoonful of sugar to make the medicine go down. At some point in life, you have to take responsibility. You have to take responsibility for your actions and what you do. I teach this to the kids I coach. I teach it to my own children. You're an adult when you're able to take ownership of everything. Good, bad, indifferent. Adults don't point the finger. Adults don't place blame. They look to themselves. For years here on the program, I used to rant and rave. It's going back 20 years ago plus. Been on the air for 22 years. And I used to get, every week, we do so many stories on ripoffs and scams and people being taken, and I'd get so frustrated and so angry with all of these crooks. And I did. I had a bit of an epiphany. Later on, I said, you know, at some point in time, people have to wisen up. The idea, the stuff that was taught to us by our parents, again, everything in life that has meaning, value, and worth involves work, time, and effort. It holds true. It really does. People who got involved in this cryptocurrency because Kim Kardashian put out a tweet. I'm sorry. Sorry, nobody held a gun to your head. You thought, tell me any other ways, you thought that because she was tweeting it out and these other celebrities were tweeting it out, all these people would rush into it, which they did, made the value of that cryptocurrency go up. Eventually, what happened? People dumped it. Now, again, that's your choice, okay? Certain people like to gamble. I do not. I've never made a bet in a casino in my entire life. Never bet on horses, never bet on sports. It's just not my thing. You wanted to get rich quick. You wanted to break the rule. And now you've lost money. Again, I think it's a lousy thing that these celebrities did. Actually, Paul Pierce was, he actually tweeted out, he said, I don't care I got fired from CNN. ESPN. I'm making all this money on this cryptocurrency. Are you kidding? You're gonna take investment advice from these people? Now, listen, you take marketing advice and sales advice from Kim Kardashian, brand advice, because, someone who really doesn't have much of any talent at all managed to make themselves billion. I mean, it is what it is. But you're going to invest based upon a tweet? Yeah, this is the problem, people. Two things. Again, get rich quick con artists. It's the world's second oldest profession. Okay? We all know what the world's oldest profession is. And there's two different types of bait that these guys use. One of them's greed. Pressing people's greed buttons. Painting them a picture of what they're going to have. Greed is a bait that will reel people in. You know what the other one is? Fear. Scaring people. Oh, you're going to lose a lot of money. So greed and fear set the trap. Now, I've laid it out for you. This is what it is. You don't have any excuse. Don't be a victim. We need less victims here in the United States. We need more adults. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Our personal CFO program. Take advantage of everything we have. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the watchdog on Wall Street.
Welcome back, everybody. One of the things that we really try to encourage here on the program, in case you're not aware of it yet, is we want people to become critical thinkers. We want people to become critical thinkers. You know what? You're listening to my program today, and I say something or I'm talking about something, and it doesn't sit right with you. Well, guess what? We all have the power of gods today with these smartphones that we have. Unfortunately, too many people decide that they're just there to take pictures of themselves. You can look things up. You can do your homework. Mark, I want to make sure that he's accurate on this, and you can go find out for yourself. You can go to a myriad of different sources. We want people to be critical thinkers. And one of the things that I suggest people do, especially when listening to this program, you have to have an open mind. And I'm an open book here. There's no doubt about. I have my conservative tendencies, and I'm most certainly a libertarian. I believe in the United States Constitution. I do. I don't know. They're probably probably on some government list because I say it all the time. I love the founders. I love the Constitution. I hate government. I hate them. They're part of the axis of evil. My axis of evil. Politicians, government, bureaucracy, big business, and the media. They work hand in hand to further their needs. But again, I can yell and scream about this. We can talk about this here on the program. It's our collective fault that we're in this position we're in. We continue to put these people back in Washington, back in power. I talk about being an equal opportunity basher here on the program. You should see some of the emails that I get over the course of the week. If I start going after Trump or some of the things that he did, oh my God, you should see the nasty emails. People, this is not a sport. Okay, this is not, you don't choose a team. You're not Yankees, Red Sox. Okay, Democrats, Republicans, donkeys, elephants. You don't do that. You don't worship politicians. We're supposed to be a nation of laws, not of men. Now, with that being said, I'm watching stuff, but I'm seeing these politicians out there point fingers and place blame. Elizabeth Warren this past week blamed grocery store chains for the higher prices of food. Blamed grocery store chains. Now, if you're not familiar with that business, you're talking about margins that are 1% or lower. 1% or lower. She's blaming grocery store chains for the higher prices of food. Now, either Elizabeth Warren is dumb as a box of rocks, or she's a sociopath. It's one or the other. We have inflation, people, because we're spending too much damn money. Government has grown and grown and grown, and it's not just the Biden administration. The Biden administration wanted to up the Trump administration after the Trump administration spent God knows how much money. What are we up to? $5 trillion? $5 trillion in COVID relief programs. You remember how this started? 15 days to stop the spread. Here we are. Case after case after case. What a joke. And again, all you needed to be was a critical thinker and start doing homework on respiratory diseases and all that stuff and understand exactly what was going to happen. But we'll talk about that later on the program. But we've been through this before when it comes to inflation. Growing the size of government in the 70s. Stupid wars. Vietnam. Afghanistan. Spending money we do not have. Jimmy Carter, realized that he had to do something, and he put his best foot forward when it came to deregulation of airlines and railroads and trucking, and he was the one that appointed Paul Volcker, chairman of the Federal Reserve. Started seeing a change, had more conservative Democrats being elected to Congress. But the reality of the situation is it wasn't until Reagan came in. And Paul Volcker went ahead and he did what he needed to do. And raised rates and crushed inflation right there. That my friends, that can't happen today simply because we're so far into debt. I know we talked about this before on the program. I want to go over it again. Okay? We just raised the debt ceiling, putting it close to $31 trillion. We have to pay interest on that $31 trillion. That's a part of our annual budget. What happens when interest rates rise? Most of our debt is in short-term instruments. Means they got to pay off and then you have to borrow the money again. The best way I've been able to explain this to people, I want you to think of it as paying off one credit card with another credit card and then adding more, buying more. Because again, debt ceiling, we raise the debt ceiling. There's no limit. They keep spending. So what happens when that credit card, the new credit card that you're buying stuff with, let's say the interest rate is higher? Well, then more of your money has to be spent on interest payments. People, there's nothing. I mean, the Fed is in a box right now. The Fed has been in a box because the Fed became, quite frankly, it became political over the past couple decades and then some. They work with government, print more money. Government wants to spend more. We, the people, demand more spending. I want more. Send me checks, spend more money. And this is the situation that we're in. This is where, again, your cash is trash. You're losing money. Another good way of looking at it, quite frankly, my friends, is inflation's a tax. That's all it is. It's just another tax. So you take a look at the taxes that you pay. Why don't you add another 10% plus on top of it? Because that's what you're getting. That's what it is. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about, I mentioned last hour, we're talking about the Bitcoin scam, whatever it was, with Kim Kardashian and Paul Pierce and Floyd Mayweather and all these other celebrities that got involved with it. Crypto prices have come down and got a lot of freaked out people that went all in. All in. Again, these are obviously not clients of ours. We would never allow this to happen. Not on our watch. People that bought in 55, 60, 70,000 for Bitcoin, and now it's came down, went below 40,000, bouncing around down there. This is part of the problem, people. Coin, currency, it's not. Do you understand? It's not a currency. The only global currency that moves to that great of a degree, at least recently, has been the Turkish lira, and it's not even close to the movements that these cryptos make. I want to reiterate something, people. The idea that this is some sort of viable method of exchange is crazy. It's crazy. People are going to buy stuff, and again, they do it for publicity reasons. So-and-so is now taking cryptocurrencies for this, for payment for this. They just had a free PR. That's all it was. They know that most of the transactions are not going to come in that form. They're well aware of that. People, they're saying, oh, crypto could go to 1 million. It could. It could. It's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. I remember I talked about this. I talked about this. What was it last year at some point in time? We were moving, and I found my big box of baseball cards. Found my big box of baseball cards, and I've got some great cards. And I was going through with my son, and we're taking a look at, wow, look at this Mickey Mantle, and what's that worth? And Willie Mays, and what's this one worth? Oh, wow, Phil Rizzuto, 1956. I wonder what that one's worth. And it was a great teachable moment for my kids. I said, Stephen, the book says it's worth this. The book says it's worth this. It's only worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. That's all. That's what it's worth. Okay? And at some point in time, if somebody says, I want to pay $1 million for cryptocurrency, that's a finite amount of zero, somebody's going to pay for it. That's something, these are things that I can't judge. I can't value. I can take a look at a company. I can take a look at its prospects. I can take a look at management. I can take a look at its business plan. And I can put a value on that. If anybody actually tells you that they can put a value on zero. Again, what was the song there in Jaws, Quint? Farewell and adieu to you, fair Spanish ladies. Yeah. Anyway. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. That's our website. Become a part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family. Our personal CFO program. Take advantage of all the great stuff we have. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com or give us a call, 800-471-5984.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Wang Chung. Great 80s tune. Welcome back, everybody. It is the Watchdog on Wall Street show. I'm going to get into it's not so much politics. It's just kind of America today, life today in this country. And I did discuss this on the podcast this past week. We got into this to some degree. And again, I want to invite everybody, my terrestrial listeners. Our podcast is growing in leaps and bounds. Thousands and thousands of new people every single week. You can learn more about our podcast. Go to our website, watchdogonwallstreet.com. Put points in the right direction. You can sign up for it there. And let me just tell you, I keep it short and sweet. I keep it short and sweet. We go after any type of garbage that's being thrown at you. We call out BS, and I try to keep it around a half an hour, Monday through Friday. But anyway, I had a thought this past week, and I don't know if it was again, you kind of sometimes you have a thought in your mind, and you're not sure whether or not you should feel bad about that idea or thought in your mind. And I was thinking about the country splitting. The country splitting and, breaking apart in some way. And kind of laughing. I was thinking a lot of these northern states and into New England, maybe they should just join Canada for crying out loud, or maybe throw California into the mix. And whether or not I would be upset if something like that happened. And I'm being honest, because that's the name. I said, I guess I wouldn't off the top of my head care. I know it's wrong, but the reality of the situation is, people, is we live in a big country. We do. It's a big country. And there are different pockets in different places, with different values, systems, and you can decide where you want to live. And this was the beauty of the United States Constitution. It was states' rights. What was the fact that you could decide what state you want to live in. Later on in the program, we're going to talk about California. California's got a push now for universal health care. They're so flush with cash. So flush with cash with all the government handouts and giveaways that they want to start a universal health care system. But that's California, and we'll get into the taxes that go along with that. But, you know, we are breaking apart in ways that I don't like. That I don't. It's become almost third world in nature. It really is. In many ways. And I remember, geez, this is going back 2007, 2008. I'm being highly critical of the Bush administration at that time. And Republican spending and bridges to nowhere. And I compared our country to a third world nation. And I remember we play the Romancing the Stone song by Eddie Grant. Remember that 1980s movie with Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner? That was a good one. Third world nation. And it's most certainly the case. You had the Speaker of the House come out and basically say, we're a free market economy. Yeah, we politicians should be able to trade stocks the way we want, but they're not trading stocks like everybody else. They're cheating. This is something that we've covered here on the program for years. Peter Schweitzer wrote a book about this back in like 2011, 2012. What did they do? Oh, when it was made the news, they came up with some new legislation, the Stock Act, that was supposed to prevent politicians from insider trading. It had no teeth whatsoever. It was absolutely useless, and they continue to do it. Think about the type of investing power that you have. If all of a sudden you know where government is going to be spending money. Now, they're the big kahuna out there. They're the big spender. We all know that. They decide, well, who's getting certain contracts. And you're able to go ahead and buy stock in those companies before everybody else because that information is not public. If I were to do that, I would go to jail. Again, think of it, the movie Wall Street. Blue Star Airlines, right? Bud Fox's dad works for the airline, and he finds out that they got a favorable ruling on a court case involving a crash. The plaintiffs don't know. Bud Fox goes into Gordon Gekko's office, gives him his picks. Gordon Gekko laughs at him. Then all of a sudden, Bud Fox breaks bad and does what he's not supposed to do, gives insider information on this company. Do you understand? These people in D.C. operate and do this all the time. I was actually asked to go on a television program this past week to talk about John Ossoff from Georgia, and he wants to basically put an end to that, which again, it's not going to happen. My opinion, all of their money should go into blind trusts, but they're making way too much money. But it doesn't matter. Even if Ossoff's bill passes. They're trying to get Republicans to sign on, and some of them are looking to do it. Even if it passes, even if it goes into a blind trust, do you think it's going to matter? Do you think it's going to matter? I went to a fundraiser. It's a true story. Fundraiser in Florida for a state politician. State politician, and I'm talking with this guy, and he's there. He's already in Tallahassee. And he knows that they're going to be spending certain money on rest areas and highways. And he's talking about how he's investing in certain construction companies to benefit from that. And I'm like, what? I threw up in my mouth a little bit, and I left. That's wrong. They always find a way. Remember Dennis Hastert, Speaker of the House, the wrestling coach? He got in trouble for abusing little boys, Republican Speaker of the House. How does a high school wrestling coach become a multi-millionaire? They all become multi-millionaires because they take advantage of their position, which is wrong. But we allow it to happen. I was reading about, other presidents leaving office. Wouldn't even take any stationery from the office. Refusing to make any money or profit off of what? what they've done, having to move back in with their mother-in-law. This is the way it's supposed to be. What we've created is a third world situation. And again, we're the only ones that can correct it. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Become a part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family. Take advantage of all the great stuff we have. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street. The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
I've talked about people in government, most people. You know, they talk about the 1%. And it's less than 1% are actually good guys. Less than 1%. I honestly do believe that. I think most of them just had an ethical bypass at birth. Another Wall Street bit that just popped into my mind was when Bud Fox's dad, Martin Sheen, he was basically tells his son, I don't go to bed with any whore and I don't wake up with any whore. That's how I live with myself. I don't know how you do it, kid. I bring this up. I was thinking about this past week. You want to just see how disgusting Washington is. They had a January 6th thing, right, going on. Nancy Pelosi, moment of silence. You know who's on the floor? Dick Cheney with his daughter, standing. And you're watching Dick Cheney shaking hands, putting his arm around all of these Democrats that are there. Dick Cheney, who, in my opinion, war criminal. War criminal. And again, the type of power that the Bush administration grabbed from Congress and what they did with it disgusts me. And we can argue about that with blue in the face. It's a war criminal. Darth Vader, they used to call him. The Democrats hated him. He was a constant target all the time. Now, all of a sudden, he's their buddy because of the January 6th stuff. If that doesn't tell you, again, it doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat. If it doesn't just tell you how screwed up these people are, I don't know. I don't know what will. Anyway, we got to get into some domestic policy rundown here. Some things I wanted to talk about. I saw this story. Petition. And again, this is this type of journalism that we have today, lack thereof. This is off CNBC. Petition for $2,000 monthly stimulus checks has 3 million signatures. Americans need some certainty, says restaurateur who started it. And in this article, the 3 million signatures talking about people need certainty to make their rent and certainty for this and certainty for that. Certainty? All due respect, okay? Since when is it my responsibility to make sure your rent is paid? Why is it my responsibility like it is now for your health care? Why is it my responsibility? How about taking some personal responsibility and stop playing the damn COVID card, please? Spare me. The country is awash in help wanted signs wherever you go. Funny thing is, the restaurateur was actually who started this petition complaining, oh, no, we might have to shut down due to COVID and blah. The restaurant is in Denver. Later on in the article, they find out that they're running the restaurant remotely from Vermont. Yeah, I'm sorry, okay? You might, if somebody doesn't show up because of COVID, you might want to be there to wash dishes. I'm just saying, man. Anyway, again, like we haven't spent enough money, $5 trillion. Biden's administration is saying we're going to need more. We need more. More cowbell. Yes, we're going to need more COVID spending. That's right. More checks going out to more businesses. No, you know what we need? is to take your stupid COVID strategy and put it where the sun don't shine, because it didn't work. At some point in time, we've got to move on. We have to learn to live with this, because it's not going away. More money is not going to solve the problem. Again, you printed $5 trillion of it. You flew a helicopter over the country. You dropped it. How'd that work out for everybody? Did it solve anything? No. Administration, Pelosi, they're going to have to raise the debt ceiling again in February, but they don't have enough money. They got to borrow more. Got to print more money. They want to tie to the debt ceiling thing. They want more checks. More money. Well, you think this is going to be helpful when it comes to inflation? No, I don't think so. Anyway, I got a lot more of these things I got to go over. I just take a look at the clock. We'll take a break here, and we'll get back into this when I get back. Again, I invite each and every one of you to become a part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family personal CFO program, our podcast, account repair kits, college planning kits, annuity help kits, all of this stuff right there at our website, watchdogonwallstreet.com, or give us a call, 800-471-5984.
You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to The Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Welcome back, everybody. I forget how much of a genius Whitney Houston was as well. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. Welcome back. All right. Again, I'm not a mathematical genius by any stretch of the imagination. I struggled with math. I put the work in, and I was a solid B- to B math student, where my brother Matthew, that he majored in that. And I could never do that. I'd rather stick a hot poker in my eye. I found it difficult in math class, to have my head not hit the table with drool coming out the side of my mouth. It always put me to sleep. But anyway, neither here nor there. Basic algebra, I got that down. It's amazing today that people, their inability to actually just, pick up a calculator. Saw this story. More than 500,000 Americans unhoused. The U.S. is still struggling to solve the homelessness crisis. Again, CNBC. The wizards are smart over there. The COVID pandemic caused a surge in housing costs and a rise in unemployment. And they're saying 600,000 Americans are unhoused in 2020. What people don't typically realize when they walk past a person who's homeless is that person is costing taxpayers a lot of money. They put in this article some numbers. New York City alone spent $3 billion to support its homeless population. California allocated $4.8 billion. So I started thinking to myself, okay, well, right now that's, almost $8 billion. I said, how much the federal government spend? Federal government spent $7.2 billion. Wow, we're up to $15 billion. Up to $15 billion, 600,000 Americans unhoused. And that's just New York City, California, and the federal government. Every state spends money on homelessness, right? Well, if we just took the money spent by the federal government, New York City and California, you just play with a calculator. That amounts to $25,000 per person who is homeless. And that doesn't include all of the money that was spent. I give you government. How is that acceptable? How is that not the story? How do these journalists not see that? How is that not the story? We're spending ungodly sums of money for what result? You still got 600,000 people, $25,000 per homeless person. That's, again, just from those three places. It's much, much more than that. Again, stupidity. Anyway, you know what? I want to touch on this one right now. I was going to maybe save this for some of the foreign policy stuff, but I think it's important. And I'm vehemently against what Ted Cruz is doing and some of these Republicans are doing when it comes to this Nord Stream 2 and the sanctions that they want to put on Russia because of Nord Stream 2. Shame on you people. I'm going to be honest with you. Shame on you. We're supposed to be a capitalist country. We're supposed to be a country that believes in business. The nation of Germany, their sovereign nation, they decided that they wanted to have a pipeline going from Russia to Germany, and they want the gas to flow in that direction. Now, it might tick us off because it might mess up some of our geopolitical stuff, and, well, we're defending you with NATO, and you shouldn't do that. But that's a conversation we have with them. If they decide not to do it, it's none of our damn business. At some point in time, we've got to understand that certain things are just none of our damn business, and stay the hell out of it. Watchdog on WallStreet.com, Watchdog on WallStreet.com. I may revisit that a little bit later on in the program, but we got a lot we got to go over. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. We shall return.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. Bringing America financial freedom one listener at a time. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Again, file this under stupid is as stupid does. You got 41 Democrats. They're very upset. Very upset. They want federal regulations. We need federal regulations to lower heating prices. Again, either they're really stupid, which is a possibility, or they're sociopaths. Their regulations have driven heating prices up. Yeah, you got 41 members of Congress. Oh, increases in heating and energy costs. What is this going to do to our constituents? I don't know. Maybe putting a stop to drill, baby, drill and getting rid of and not allowing pipelines to occur. That might be a bit of a problem. You know what's funny is that this letter, you've got those useless idiots, Ed Markey, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, the whole progressive caucus. They hate oil. They hate gas, for crying out loud. But now all of a sudden, they want the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to influence retail rates for natural gas and electricity? Are you out of your mind? Do you know that natural gas, because of the lack of pipelines in Massachusetts, natural gas is often delivered right into Boston Harbor from Russia, liquefied natural gas? Yeah, I kid you not. Kid you not. You know, to quote Sarah Palin, drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill. You did this to yourself. And again, fix it, control it. No, it's the free market. And this is the thing. You people think you can control the free market. You can't. You can't. You did this to yourselves. And it's funny, Massachusetts as well. I remember this. This is going back 20 years ago. Oh, they were going to put a wind farm there off of Cape Cod or Nantucket or something like that. Oh, my God. The Kennedys and John Kerry, they threw a hissy fit. No way! They didn't want to look at those windmills. Yeah, Joe Biden really stepped in it this past week. And the number one issue in the country, it's much greater than COVID, inflation. But the left seems to think it's voting rights. Voting rights. Let me put it to you this way. It's easier for me to vote than it is for me to get into a restaurant in New York City. Voting right. I know it's real difficult here in the United States to vote. Oh, it's so hard. God forbid you have to go to a polling place someday. Oh, shucky darn. It's so hard. It really is. Biden gives this speech and he starts comparing people that disagree with him. You disagree with Joe Biden, you are George Wallace. You disagree with Joe Biden, you're Bull Connor. You disagree with Joe Biden, you are Jefferson Davis. You know, the funny thing is even the Democrats, the lefties out there saying, whoa, Joe, you're kind of going off the deep end there. Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton's like, no, don't do this. Don't just give the you're going to hell speech. Please don't do that. Again, who writes this stuff? We have a thing in this country called states' rights. States' rights. States want to do things a certain way. Let them do things a certain way. If you don't see the possibility, you don't see the possibility for various different types of fraud when it comes to drop boxes and mail-in voting and all this other stuff. Come on, people. Come on. Again, either you're really dumb or, quite frankly, you know what? You're a sociopath. It's one or the other. Anyway, I mentioned this earlier on in the program. California got lots of money right now, and they're going to spend it. Now, they're not going to return it to the taxpayers. No. They are going to spend it. They want to get rid of Medicare and Medicaid. Yeah, and you're going to get everything, all of the health care that you want, unless, of course, they deem you not worthy. Oh, yeah, panels. Panels. Again, Sarah Palin. Again, remember Sarah Palin talking about death panels? Oh, it's just so over the top. Well, again, universal health care in California. You want a hip replacement? And this, again, unelected panels, bureaucrats think that you're too old. You ain't getting it. Guess what? There's not going to be any private option in the state. So you're going to have to get in your car and you're going to have to travel to Arizona to get the work done, and then you're going to have to pay for it. Now, I'm not making this up. This is what they want to do. This is what they want to do. And again, you take a look at the taxes. 2.3% excise tax on business with more than $2 million in annual gross receipts. That's on revenue, by the way. That's on revenue. Again, either they're dumb or they're sociopaths. Certain businesses have certain margins. Again, grocery stores have a very low margin. How do you think it's going to affect them? Yeah, revenues, not profits. Another 1.25% payroll tax on employers with 50 or more workers. Workers earning more than $50,000 have to pay an additional 1% payroll tax. The effective income tax on wage earners making more than $61,000 is 11.5%. That's more than millionaires pay in every state in the union except New York. I can go on and on and on and on. I can. About all the taxes and what this is going to do. But again, I've got a lot of listeners in California. I've got a lot of stations in California. And I love y'all. I do. But I don't live there. If the state of California wants to do this to itself, if they want to, again, shoot themselves in the foot because doctors are going to leave en masse, businesses are going to leave en masse, have at it. Have at it. A lot of these places haven't hit rock bottom with their stupidity yet. If you want to do that, again, states' rights. Have at it, California. See how it works out as more people continue to move to Texas, Arizona, and Florida. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street.